to you by Gary's Wine and Marketplace.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. It is my pleasure to introduce for the first time with us Kam Wong, who is Vice President, Diversity and Inclusion, Prudential Financial. And good to see you, Kam.
Thank you. Likewise.
Let's talk about the issue of disabilities and the fact that there was a major event in Newark that we'll be showing some video of that was historic in many ways. Describe it.
Yeah, so we were very excited at Prudential to host our Disability Awareness Celebration in Military Park on October 18th. And basically what we did was we brought this amazing first ever Disability Rights Museum on wheels.
Hold on, the Disability Rights Museum on wheels.
Exactly. It's a 48-foot trailer that's pulled by a truck. And within this trailer is a curated exhibit of the progress, the movement for civil rights for people with disabilities.
Okay, make it clear to us.
Sure.
Civil rights for people with disabilities,
right.
For example.
So unfortunately, it started with the dark times with eugenics and forced sterilization and institutionalization of people with disabilities. And then marching through time where there had been the fight and the struggle for equal access and equal opportunities for people with disabilities, including a time in the 80s where wheelchair users and people using canes abandoned them and literally crawled up the steps of the Capitol building to really be visible and not be, secreted and hidden away, to fight for their right to education, to access in public places. I mean, our country, even as recent as the 1970s, had what was called ugly laws.
Hold on, wait. Ugly laws?
Ugly laws.
What does that mean?
Sure. So these laws in many states until the mid-1970s allowed public establishments like restaurants to turn away someone because they were unsightly, because they, didn't look as the restaurant might want them to look.
They could turn them away?
They can turn them away.
Legally?
Legally, and they could be arrested even.
The person?
Yes, the person can be kicked out of the establishment. Yeah. So a restaurant can call up the police to escort the person physically away.
Okay, so I don't want to say fast forward because that's such an inappropriate expression right now. But if we were to talk about the progress we've made, how would you describe where we are today?
So I would say that we've made good progress, but it's not nearly where it needs to be.
What are we missing?
So I think the future state ideally would be universal design, where, for instance...
Universal design.
Exactly. Where we would think to have curb cuts as a matter of course, so that someone using a wheelchair can easily, move around.
Curb cuts.
Curb cuts, exactly. And universal design, the whole notion about it is that it helps everybody, not just a person with disabilities. So the parent pushing the stroller, someone with the luggage that they're pulling.
So hold on. So here's what I'm curious about. So is that about building code? Is that about saying that a building has to be designed in that way, and if it's not designed in that way, there's some sort of fine?
No,
is that government policy?
Well, I would say it's beyond that. It's really embedding inclusion through inclusion of people with disabilities, which would then serve everyone. A lot of buildings are meeting the code standards.
The ADA code.
Right.
Not enough.
Exactly.
So this is more of a cultural, like who are we going to be as a society?
Yes.
Are we going to be inclusive? Or are we going to simply meet the standards of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that's it because the government can't give us a hard time if we don't? I mean, I don't want to oversimplify it, but am I right?
Yes, I mean, we really want to build to a culture and a climate where we are inclusive of people with disabilities across all dimensions, in the workplace, in the marketplace, in the community. And when we had the celebration at a military park in Newark, it was for that purpose, to get the conversation going.
At Prudential, describe what you're doing.
So my responsibility chiefly is to ensure equal access and equal opportunities for all, and really ensure the integration of diversity and inclusion within that. So for instance, creating the climate where people feel they can really bring the full selves to work. So especially invisible disabilities.
Invisible disabilities.
Yes. About 71% of disabilities are not visible. So disabilities such as Asperger or hearing impairment, learning disabilities, things of that sort, post-traumatic stress disorder.
You wouldn't see it.
Exactly.
Or you wouldn't necessarily see it.
Right. And we want to create the climate where people feel that they can really bring the full selves to work, where they don't have to hide, they don't have to cover, and that they will then fully avail themselves of the productivity tools that we can provide for them. So someone, for instance, with a hearing impairment, that they would feel comfortable coming forward saying that they have a hearing impairment, and then we can provide them the technology that will enable them to be fully engaged in the workplace and fully productive. The technical legal term they use is disability accommodation, but I like to see it as really enabling all our people to fully be engaged and fully succeed.
Before I let you go, I'm curious about this. As a society, in terms of our attitudes, how close do you think we are to truly, not just accepting, but embracing people who happen to have a disability?
I think, unfortunately, we are still a distance from there. I think we still have quite a journey to travel, but having these kind of conversations and being able to be out of Military Park where they see this trailer.
That was a big deal. Biggest accomplishment from that day, from that celebration.
About 500 people stopping through the museum and learning about the progress over time and the struggle for equal rights for people with disabilities.
That's a big deal.
It is.
And if people wanted to find out more, what would they do?
They could connect up with USBLN that created the Museum on Wheels.
Kam Wong is the Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion at Prudential Financial. Kam, thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
At Gary's Wine and Marketplace, planning parties is our business. Our associates can work with you to plan the details. We offer an assortment of wine, beer, spirits, cheeses, party platters, accessories, and more. 4 locations in New Jersey and at garyswine.com.
Also brought to you by JFK Medical Center, ShopRite Supermarkets, and by the Give Something Back Foundation,